Okay, Be'ez Hashem, God willing, we'll learn the second bracha Atta Gibor. But just to conclude the first, which we almost finished, but just, there's a lot more to talk about, but let's very quickly to go over two things. We were talking about the bowing, the Baruch Atta. So you bend your knees by Baruch, and then by Atta you bow your head. That's according to the Rai Mehemna, according to the Zohar. Even though the Gibor just talks about Baruch to be Korea, to bow at Baruch, but the custom is Baruch with the knees and Atta is with the head. So the knees move lower down, and then when you say Atta, you lower your head, and Zoikev B'Shem, and then you pick up your head when you say the Hashem's name. And the idea is that when you daven and when you bow down, so there's the 13 chulias, the 18 parts of the vertebrae. It's not mamish, there's not really 18 parts of the vertebrae, there's 25 and 24, but the Zohar actually says that they're that number, the Zohar says 25 and 24. But we're talking about the certain parts of the vertebrae. I think there's 13 and 7 or something like that, and it's divided, so it's like the 5, I'm not sure exactly the number, but it gets 5, and then it's the middle ones that are counted, and the top of the lower ones. That's the 18 of Chazal. But the point is, it's the back of the spine. And you're supposed to bow down, that your spine should be seen. So the spine should be seen is what you're bowing down with your head. You're bowing down your spine. So what you're doing then is you have your moyach, your mind, which is in a state of bowing, and then it's moving down the spine. Okay, so what's moving down the spine is that in the spheres, you say that a child is created through zera, through semen, basically that comes out of the male, and that is connected to Yesod, to the sphere of Yesod. So the base of the spine is where it's released, which is connected to the sphere of Yesod. That's why Yesod is connection. But it's mushash, the root of it is Memoy Ha'av. That the root of Zera, the root of sperm, of semen, is from the Moy Ha'av, from the mind of the father. And this is not necessarily on a physical level. Even the Alter Rebbe writes this in the beginning of Torah, that this can be a spiritual movement. But the understanding is that since this kishul ladas, that means that there's arousal that comes through the moyach, through the mind. So the mind, the koyach, the tipa, like the origin of the child begins in the mind of the father, and then it comes through the spine. It's nimshach through the chulias of the spine, to the shadra, to the spine, and then it's released through Yesod. So it's going from the top from Moyach Av, from the Moyach, from the father, which is also Chachma, right? This is Chachma is connected to Av. So it goes from Chachma, and then it goes down the back of the spine. There's even a halacha. Halacha says that the Gemara says a person shouldn't lie in his back. You shouldn't lie in your back, right? You shouldn't lie in your back. And Tosfos says because that's connected to Zera. That's connected to heating up your spine. It's connected to some type of release. So the idea is that it's moving, the direction is moving from the top, it's moving all the way out. So when you're saying Baruch Atta, what you're doing is you're taking from the highest level of Moyach, of Chachma, intelligence of Chachma, which is the world of Atzilus, right? Because Chachma is Atzilus, Bina is Bria, the 6 Midas is Yitzira, and Malchus is Asiyah. So just like we spoke the 4 worlds, so they each correspond to Chachma, Bina, the 6 spheres, Zarampin, and Malchus. So you're taking from Chachma Atzilus, which is Atzilus of Atzilus, and you're drawing it down until the Tipa, which means that it's actually being revealed into Malchus of Asiyah, into physical action. So you're revealing the highest level of potential of blessing into this world. That's what you're doing when you're bowing down. That's why it goes dafka. It specifically goes through the spine. That's why the image of the spine and the chulis has to be sticking out, so to speak. It's like it's moving outward. It's like it's coming through and it's moving out. But what's interesting is that the when you say Baruch Atta, we spoke about last time that there's the Atta, there's the you, and then which is the essence of the self of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Atzmas Ein Sof Baruch Hu, and then there's Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is already the Gilui of Hoya Hoya V'yeh, which is infinity. So Atzmas Ein Sof Baruch Hu, the essence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachol, the essence of Hashem, is not infinite. It's not infinite, it's not finite. It includes infinite, includes the finitude. It's not, there's no Agdar, there's no way to define it. So therefore Atta doesn't have a description, doesn't have a way to language. We can't say it's something. Right? The moment we say it's something, if you say it's Chachma, then it's only Chachma, but it's not only Chachma. If you say it's wisdom, it's wisdom. If you say it's love, then it's only love. It's everything. There's no way to describe it. So the way we describe it is Atta. So the hamshacha, the bowing is when you say the word Atta. So Baruch is when you Berkayim, also connected to the knees. So Baruch you do with your knees, you're drawing down, and that's a type of revealing. And ultimately, there's a submission, which is that you're bowing down your head, which is humility. Hoidu is hoid. You're acknowledging something's hard on you, and you're drawing down, not in a revealed way, but you're drawing down from the Atta, not from Hashem. From Hashem is a revelation. From Atta, there's no revelation. It's beyond revelation. If you look over here, that's the first two Ma'ar Makom is this idea. The first one is Eir HaTorah from the Tzemach Tzedek. It's on the first 2 pages. It's just a very short piece. It's literally on the bottom of the page. That is Chibuk v'Nishuk zel lefnei hayichud. See that is Chibuk and Nishuk, which represents the states of hugging and Nishuk that occurs before the Yichud. Aval Shemon Eser zel liyas hamshachas atipa mamish v'sim shalom. That the hamshachas atipa from the chachma, for the highest level of the seed, is the hamshacha is by Shemon Esrei. That's exactly what you're doing. You're saying Baruch Aleinu, bless us, Rafeinu, heal us. You're drawing down the hamshacha. You're drawing down this blessing into a very physical space. V'chai brachas keneged chai chulius.
Why b'sim shalom?
Because that's the end. By the end, when it's finally drawn down, by Sim Shalom. You mean you're drawing it further and further? So I'm Sim Shalom. The Chai Brachas keneged Chai Chulius. The 18 brachas blessings are corresponding to the 18 parts of the vertebrae. Shem Vayalam Shachas Atipa. So therefore, that's the Shachas Atipa. That's the drawing down this new revealing. In the next page, there's a piece over here from the Mittel Rebbe.
Is the Tipa connected to the Dibur?
No, it's beyond the Dibur. It's beyond the Dibur. The Tipa is the source of the entire binyan, the source of the entire creation.
So in our tefillah, how are we mimicking the Tipa?
You're not through. You'll see soon. Not through words. It's a good question you're asking. Look at the next source. The next one I'm walking is like this. We're going to read this quickly, but this is Bekitzer what he's saying. In Shemon Esser, this is for Shai Oyer from the Mittel Rebbe, Shai Chanukah, that there's in the drawing down of the 18 brachas in Shemon Esser, there's 2 levels. Achaz hakavana bebaruch. One is in baruch lahamshich min ha'elam the ein soif the esespheres legilui canal. This is to reveal the esespheres from a place of concealment to a place of revelation. Shub achshav shabrachu hamshachem esespheres agnuzis shiyava legilui big ksavas evav ksavas adatzilus matzilus lubya vidal. So one is to draw down bracha. Bracha means that it's a revealed thing. We spoke about last time. Bracha means that it's a rosh kol brachas. It's the source of all bracha, all blessings. But it's revealed in Beis and Reish and Chaf, which is in the dual, right? In 2 and 200 and in 20, which is it's revealed in the physical world. That's the bracha lahavrich. You're drawing down and you're bringing it down into the revealed place. Va'beis hu hakriya. Hakriya bebaruch bechitzoni is gufi beroishe v'chai chulis hasheda. On one hand, the kriya, you're saying baruch, but what you're doing with your body, you're physically bowing, right? So what are you doing? It's only chitzonius acts. It's only external. It's chitzonius. But the truth is, in a way, it's deeper than the kavanas of Shemon Esrei. Why? Because Shatamu behadosh bekriya elu b'mehusas atzmas husa yizbarach mamash. Shelo yachal avad b'charchum min hahelm legiler. When you're saying Atta, or when you're bowing, who you're talking to? You're talking to when a person says, "I submit to you, I'm humble to you." When I say I'm humble to you, I'm humble to everything about you. If you're having an argument and you say, "I agree with what you're saying," so then I'm agreeing with the seichel of what you're saying, with the intelligence of what you're saying. But if I have complete humility for you, for whatever reason, let's say I have complete humility for you, it's for you. Everything, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. I'm humble. Whatever I say, I'm humble to you. I think you're smarter, you're more intelligent, whatever. I'm submitting to you. So the act of humility, the act of humbling to someone, even to another person, is the complete surrender to the other person. So when a person says, "I'm humbled in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in front of Hashem," what you're saying is not to Hashem as a description. I'm saying to everything of Hashem. We can't give it language. But if I'm saying I'm humbled in front of you, who's you? And if you're HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who's you? Everything. So I'm not giving you Agdara. If I say Baruch Ata Hashem, I'm drawing down a revealing part of you. So I'm saying I want to draw down infinity. I want my life to have an infinite source of blessings. I want this should come a Likenu, it should become my Hashem, that's a Chesed, Gvur, Tiferes. I want my Chesed, I want kindness in this world, I want discipline. I want HaKadosh Baruch Hu to shower me with these brachas. But when I'm submitting in Hoidah, it's Atta. So in a way, at one level it's chitzonius, it's only external, because I'm just doing something with my body, but on the other hand, it's actually even higher. And that's what he says, La'asad lavoi, it will be Baruch Atta, that'll be a revealing of Atta. But now, it's just it's a humbling to the Bechinat of Atta. So that's the Vart. So Kriya, Dafka, in the bowing, there's something that's even higher. In a way, that's the idea of bowing to the essence. I'm bowing, and therefore I'm connected to Atta. If it's not in the Baruch, you can almost read it as Baruch revealing the source of as Hashem, but the Atta is the Kriya, right? The Baruch is I want to draw down from you, but what is going to be revealed of you is Hashem, and La'asalav it will be the revealing of Atta. Okay, so again, we go Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam, Elokei Avram, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov, which is Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes. Akel Gadol Gibor Vanoira, Gibor Gadol Vanoira is, we said it corresponds to Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, which is Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes. Kel Elyon, we said last week, is Keser Elyon, which allows for the Hamshacha, the drawing down, to be Goimel Chasadim Toivim, which is Netzach and Hoid. V'koine hakoil, koine is malchus, hakoil is yisoid. L'chashem agdula agura atveres v'netzach v'hoid. Ki chol b'shamayim v'aretz, kol is everything, is yisoid. So you're drawing down to koine hakol till malchus. Then seems to be like a derech agav. Then in the middle of bracha you say Zoy Chazi Avis maybe go to Levnei V'nei Lan Shmei B'Yava. That you remember the Chazi Avis and maybe go to Levnei V'nei. What are we talking about here? We're talking about the drawing down of Chesed, and then we say Hashem remembers the Chazi Avis, so maybe go to Levnei V'nei Lan Shmei B'Yava. What does it even mean? Or maybe go to Levnei V'nei and brings bracha to Levnei V'nei. Who's V'nei V'nei? Why B'nei V'nei? So it's Takawi. It's Takawi. The Ben Ish Chai says that B'nei is the Shvatim. You're talking about Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov. So B'nei is the Shvatim, but B'nei V'neim is us. Okay, so that's the lashon of B'nei V'neim. But why is he bring? Kadosh Baruch Hu brings a goyel L'Vnei V'neim L'man Shmoy B'Ava for the. It's Zoycha Chaz De'avis or it's L'man Shmoy. What's the reason? Is Hashem bringing down the bracha because it's Zoycha Chaz De'avis, or is he bringing down the bracha because he remembers the kindness of our ancestors, or is he L'man Shmoy B'Ava because Hashem loves us? L'man Shmoy because of His name, or is it B'Ava? What's the reason here? And why is it negaya to? Why is this negay b'chal in the Shemona Esrei? So the understanding is like this: that Zoch Chaz De'avis means that we're saying. Remember, this is Shvach. These are the first three psukim, the first three tefillas of Shvach. So they're singing Hashem's praise. So Zoch Chaz De'avis means. Sometimes, very simply, it means that when you want to praise a parent, you can praise the child. That the child is such a good child. If I say, "Oh, I saw your son. He has such a derech eretz and nimos. He's such a learner. He's such a sweet boy," what you're really doing is you're praising the parents. So Zoch Chaz De'avis can mean we're remembering Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, but really it's a praise to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that there are people like called Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. But there's more ba'omek that the Zoy Chazdi Avis. What is the Chazdi Avis? First of all, what is the Chazdi Avis? What is the Chazdi Avis? What do they do? What is the Chazdi Avis? And what does it have to do with us? So the Chazdi Avis is simply it's the Ava that Avram is Avram Oyavoy. It's the Ava of Avram, particularly Avram, because that's B'chach Chaismim. We're going to end the passage with Magen, with the tefillah with Magen Avram. So it's the Ava that they had for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the love that they had for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now this Ava of Zoy Chazdi Avis, because it was a Ava that was over generations, it was Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, it then became Yerushalayim. Then now, anyone that's from Klal Yisrael, that's a Bnei Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, has the Yerushalayim. This is what the Alter Rebbe writes in Tanya, that the Ava Musateres, that the natural love that a Yid has for the Eibishter, for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the natural love that a person has for Hashem, that love comes to is a Yerushalayim because our Avos Heim and Rokava. Because they are Rokava to Midas Chesed in general, to Midas Ava, which means that it's almost like you say, like, there's a genetic, this is the way the Kuzri thinks about this, because the Kuzri writes this, combat this idea, that there's genetic markers. If you turn a genetic marker on consecutively over a couple of generations, if let's say you're angry, your grandfather's angry, your great-grandfather's angry, probably your son is going to struggle with anger. Now he's going to have to overcome it. It's true. But if you're very kind, and you work on your midas, and your father worked on your midas, and your son works on your midas, eventually your grandchildren are going to be people that are born with more edel midas. Because sometimes it's genetic markers, it's physically, this is the way it works, and it's metaphysically, this is the way it works. So Zoy Chazi Avis means that the V'hi Yerushalayim Aviseinu, because Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov worked out this idea of Ava, that they had Ava HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So now anyone that's born of this genetic pattern, and the spiritual genetic pattern, has Ava Musateres already. V'hi Yerushalayim, this is nothing that you do. This is something that you're born with. What's the Zoich Chazia? What's the Chesed? So there's a Chesed here. What's the Chesed that Avram was Chesed? That Avram was Chesed in Koinai. That he was a Chassid. He was a Chassid, he was Chesed in Koinai. What's the Chesed and Chesed in Koinai? Someone that gives to the Koinai. Because there's a message that says Le'zaz Misham HaKadosh Baruch Hu's love for us is so strong that Le'zaz Misham Ad Shenikru first Biti, then Achoisi, and then Imi. So Biti Achoisi Imi. First he calls me my daughter, then he calls me my sister, and then he calls me my mother. So Biti, I can understand what Biti is. Hashem loves us so much like a child. Achoisi, Hashem loves that it's always there. A child is it's a deeper love, but a child is a love that comes at a certain period of time. You live for many years, you didn't have children. But if you're born, you have a sister, this is the natural love that comes to you. But then what's even a higher love? Shekara Imi. That Klal Yisrael are called the mother of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What does it even mean? You could say it's Biti, it's called Achoisi. What's Pshat Imi? So Imi means that sometimes what it means is that the love of the Avos of Avram Yitzchak Yaakov was so intense that they gave birth, kaviyachol, to the concept, in very simple language, of monotheism to this world. Which means that they gave birth to the Gila of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that who is the person that brought the presence of Hashem into this world? Who gave kaviyachol birth? What was the chesed that they did? The chesed that they did was that they gave space by their life, by living their life, that they actually brought HaKadosh Baruch Hu into this world. This is like Chazi Avis.
That was known before.
That's another Shiloh. It's a big Shiloh. That's another Shiloh. It was lost. According to the Rambam, it was lost. If you look in the Rambam Hilchos beginning, Hilchos Avodah Zarah, the Rambam asks your question. It says it was originally Adam, and then they started worshiping the sun and the moon and all the stars. And B'doyer En Hashem went astray. There was only Shem Aver, a few people, and Avram reintroduced monotheism to the world. You look at the Rambam over there. You also look at the Rambam at the end of Hilchos Tshuva, where he talks about this also, if you want to see it. And Hilchos Avodah Zarah in the beginning. So that's the idea of birthing. Now, what does it have to do? What does it have to do? So there was a schus avos. There was a schus avos. Now the question becomes that the Gemara says, the Gemara in Shabbos says, that Thomas schus avos. The Thomas Chusavas, the Gemara says that the Chusavas is no longer. We don't have the Chusavas anymore. We don't have the merit of our ancestors. It goes back already. The Gemara actually has different opinions when exactly was Thomas Chusavis, but it goes back to the times of Yecheskel, where they wrote the Tov on the heads, where it says Thomas Chusavis. It was no Chusavis. So what's pshat? So the word is like this. So Toysis actually asks the Shaila, and not the Nusach says, but even though it says Thomas Chusavis, but the bris of it is like Tama. That there was a covenant. There was a bris that was for forever. That's what Rabbeinu Tam says. And then the Re says that it's Thomas Chusavis is only l'Rishayim and not l'Tzadikim. It could work with the pshat in this tefillah. Because it says Zoicher Chazi Avis. It doesn't say Zoicher Schusavis. Not to remember the Schusavis, but the Chazi Avis. But if you look, there's a pretty interesting pshat. And then we'll get to L'man Shmoy. But if you look at it after the Tzitzik Tzaddik, the reason why the Tzitzik Tzaddik is, before we get to I'll tell you what the Tzitzik Tzaddik is saying, why it's in the gay over here, why it's relevant. Because the Tzitzik Tzaddik is saying is that when you want to daven, he's not saying this clearly, but this is what it's going to base on this. If you want to daven, it's important to mishabech l'Kadosh Baruch Hu, to offer praise. But if you think that you're nothing and you don't have anything to daven for, like you don't have a schus on yourself to daven, then you're not going to daven. There's a language, there's a toldus that brings on Hashem Mol Shem, that the reason why a person's tefillos are not niskabel, the reason why davening is not received, is because people don't believe that tefillos can be niskabel. Which is because you don't believe, or really, my davening, noich mektane amona. So I think the Michal Zlotchev said it was mektane amona because he didn't believe that he can daven, and he would stop the mabel. If you don't believe in yourself, mektane amona means he didn't believe in himself. You don't believe in yourself, you can stop the mabel. You're not going to daven. So Zoich Chazi Avos is that tzarich adam lahamid ba'atzmai. A person has to also believe in himself. This is what the Tzaddik writes over here. Not going to get tefillah, but it's very negeh. Kishem shetzarich adam lahamid b'Hashem yisbarach. Kach tzarich achach lahamid ba'atzmai. There's an achakach. There's not an achakach afterwards. But just like a person has to be mammon HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you have to believe in Hashem. The same thing tzarich achach lahamid ba'atzmai. A person has to believe in himself. Yesh la HaKadosh Baruch Hu esek imoi. That Hashem has an asikim, Hashem has a business with you, which means that there's an investment. Hashem is invested in you. You're Hashem's partner. It's important. This is what the posture of davening, the tzur of davening is. On one hand, you say v'anochi offer v'efer, which is Avram says I'm nothing, but on the other hand, he's demanding and saying, if there's only chamishin tzadikim, because he's saying, yes, I'm nothing, but yes, you gave me koiches to daven, and it's a mitzvah. So I believe that my tefillos can be. So while I'm talking about Kela Gadol Agibor, I'm talking about Hashem's greatness. You say, by the way, we're also pretty great. We also have schusim, schus aratzmai. Zoich Chazi Avos maybe there's the schus that we hold, not the brit, not the schus, the schus Avos, but the bris Avos, or we're the tzaddikim. Let's say so that would be the word. There's another. So Meshech Chochma has a nice knetch on this, where it says Zechati is brisi on this thing on tefillah, where it says Masha'ano Imre tefillah Zoich Chazi Avos. When it says you should remember Zoich Chazi Avos, you should remember the chasadim of the Avos. You're talking. So that's the shaila. That's because the Gemara says Thomas Chusavos. So first he brings down Toises, and then he says you're talking Kederach Aveitiv Esmi Shemeitiv Loi L'Bli La'azois of Shloi Yatoivis Avudim. He says like this, very psychologically true. He says maybe Taka Schusavis is over, but the nature of a person is when you invest in somebody, even if the investment didn't go that well, you're going to continue investing in them. The best way, by the way, to get money out of somebody is to get money out of them, because the moment you get money out of them, they're invested in you. If you tell this person, I have a project, and the person believes it for 5 minutes, says, okay, I'm going to give you money. And a year, the project fell apart. It's not really working. You have a greater odds to go back to that person and say, listen, the project didn't work out, but we're 80% there. Now we need to finish it. Because the person doesn't want to see his money go to waste. If you already invested that much money, you want to see the project finishing. So he says, maybe the schus office is tama, but HaKadosh Baruch has an investment in us. Or to use the language of the Tzaddik, there's an asik. There's a business that Hashem had. So maybe there's no schusim anymore. But Hashem's not going to, de-invest in us because He invested so much in us that He's going to continue investing in us. It's a It's a nice Chassidish pshat from the Meshech Chachma. You can ponder it. But another pshat is like this. What is the Zoy Chazi Ovis, and why does it have to do with Laman Shmoy B'Ava? So the simple pshat is, the simple interpretation of this is what the Torah writes, that the Zoy Chazi Ovis, even though Thomas Chus Ovis, which means there's no longer the Chus, there's no more the merit, maybe go to Laman Shmoy, that Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring us redemption, Gula, Laman Shmoy, because Hashem wants. Because of his name, because he promised. Not because there's a schus, because there's no longer a schus, there's no longer a merit. So we're saying, if there's a schus, if there's no schus, then maybe go Laman Shmoy to the merit, to merit. But this is interesting, because when you say that Laman Shmoy, you say, even though it's not b'schus, still Hashem will bring the bracha. Why? Because of Laman Shmoy. What's Laman Shmoy? So Laman Shmoy is also ba'ava. That's important. What's ba'ava? So usually you think that if a person has an investment in something and they don't feel any longer a reason to invest, or there's no schus any longer, there's no merit to invest, you would think that the person is doing it because of an obligation, Laman Shmoy, because he promised, he's not going to do it with love. But here he says Laman Shmoy, and he's still going to do ba'ava. Which is a chiddush, right? Because why would he do it with ba'ava? You say, I owe you this favor. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't feel it anymore. I don't want to do it to you, but I promise you. So you do it with ba'ava. But here he's saying Laman Shmoy is still ba'ava. This is a knetch on the Torah, huh?
It's unconditional.
Right. It is. It's
not even because of how they operate.
That's exactly. Yeah, Laman Shmoy. So Laman Shmoy. So the Zohar actually says something like this. The Zohar says Laman Shmoy means, the Zohar says Laman Ashchina. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Mashach Shchinas in Klal Yisrael. Kol Mok Nishgal Shchini in Moab. That idea. So Laman Shmoy means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, even though Thomas Chus Avis is no longer Chus, but V'shimcha Gadol Leinu Karasa, I called my name upon you. And therefore, just like, this is what the Zohar says, just like my name is eternal, is Nitzchi, the same thing also Klal Yisrael is Nitzchi. So Laman Shmoy, I'm going to redeem you because the Shechin is Begelusa. But because the Shechin is resting amongst you, and Laman Shmoy Shimcha Gadol Leinu Karasa, you put your name on us, so therefore we're eternal, and you have to redeem us. And why? But the way you're going to do it is going to be Ba'ava. That's the Ikin Nekuda. It has to be Ba'ava.
Isn't this all sort of like, as we're connecting
Yes.
Tefillah to this Laman Shmoy, then we become part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is the whole procession of what's happening. Then
So we call Laman Shmoy.
right, therefore,
V'shimcha
we
Leinu
become
Karasa.
Laman
Yeah,
Shmoy.
yeah. We're part of the
When
Laman
he's
Shmoy.
made Goyal, it's himself, but it's us.
That's what the Shechina. That's what the Zohar says. It's the Golus Hashchina. This is a Golus Hashchina. We're the Shechina of our Hashchina, and is it the Golus Hashchina?
I said that Hava is base of Hava is Kilavke, not Jahava, base of Hava.
Two times Ava. Okay, for
I
Hava.
think it
Okay.
says this.
Yeah, it says so. Yeah, that says. So the Ramban. That's the very quick. The Maramok. The next page is the Ramban. The Ramban writes that. He brings mamish this idea that even though now maybe in Golus is no longer schus avis, that now we have gula only because shmoya gadol. That's Laman Shmi, and that's the word. That's actually the idea of Laman Shmoy. Okay, so you say maybe go Laman Shmoy. Biyava, and then Melech Oizer and Mashiach we talked about, we talked about the difference between a Melech Oizer and Mashiach, and it's going up and it's going down. Melech Oizer and Mashiach becomes, Melech is like a king, watches, Oizer is someone that helps on the distance, Mashiach is someone that's already closer, Magen is actually something that you're wearing on your body, Magen is something to protect that it never comes to you, L'chatchila, Mashiach is someone that you're stuck and you're redeemed. Oizer is just helping you out of the situation, but he's still stuck, right? These are three madregas high, and so three madregas deep. Baruch Atah Hashem, Magen Avram. Magen is the Magen Avram is there's a Chassidish word from the Chedush Arim that Magen Avram is the Pintel Yid. He says the Pintel Yid is called the Avram. So the Eibusher protects the Avram, that little part of a Jew. The Magen, but Magen is a pisod. Magen is connected to the name. Magen is 93, which is 3 times the name Kel. So kel is chesed, kel chesed kol hayom, which is the idea of giving. So it's again, Mogen means that there's a chesadim geluyim, a lot of chesadim, and Mogen, there's twice Mogen. You say Mogen twice, right? Melech HaMashiach Mogen, Baruch Hashem Mogen. So 93 and 93 is 186. And what's 186? We talked about on Shabbos. That's Gemat Mokim, that's Gemat Yishem Havai B'Meluya, that's Gemat Yaakov. So that's, Mogen Avraham means that Hashem protects us. Protects us means when there's chesadim, which is important when there's a ribu chesadim, there could be leakage. Even let's think about this in your own life. When a person has a spashas hanefesh, a person's like feeling really good and is in a good matzav ruach. So if there's no boundaries, then there could be unikas chitzayim, like you see, unfortunately. In the oasis of the Baal Shem, it says that a person can daven, and after davening, if they don't have the right kelim, they can lose the ava in drink, in vodka. But it means that you need to direct that koyach that you received, that energy that you received, and the Magen Avraham is that it's going to seal it. It's like it's going to be protected. That Eibusha is going to protect this ava that's coming down, the shefa that's coming down. The chesadim is going to be in a way that it's going to be healthy and it's going to have a magen. It's going to have a good tris. It's going to have a good covering. Okay, now let's get to Atta Gibor. Atta Gibor is Shem Aleph Gimel Lamed Aleph. Okay, this is a very important name. So if you look over here in the Shalah Kodesh, in the Siddur Shalah, Atta Gibor Hashem. So Atta Gibor Hashem. This is a kavana. Shem Agla is something that obviously the Ari brings down, but it's brought down. All the Sfarim say you should mechaven this. Even Chassidish Sfarim. Look at the Maran. Others, even Chassidish Sfarim say you should mechaven this name. Atta Gibor Hashem. Shem Agla. So what is Shem Agla? So let's see what the Shalah Kodesh writes. It's the next page. So the first Gamma Rosh Tevis start over there. Gamma Rosh Tevis left column. Gamma Rosh Tevis shall Atta Gibor Leilam Hashem. Shu Shem Agla. Shu Shem Gadol v'Amitz. This is a very powerful, strong name, which is hidden in the Torah of the word B'divi Rivka Eishes Yitzchak Avinu b'Pasuk v'Tomer Gam l'Gemalacha Eshka. That Rivka says, "I will also give your gemolim, your camels to drink." Is Rosh Tevis Shem Agla. V'zeh Hashem Oile Aleph Lamed Daled. This shame is Oile Aleph Lamed Daled. What's Aleph Lamed Daled? Which is Eled. We're going to see soon that the Iker person, the Iker one that was revealed, that revealed the shame Agla, that becomes the shame Eled, Aleph Lamed Daled is the Baal Shem. In the Kavanas Baal Shem, this is revealed. It doesn't say in the Ari. In where it speaks about over here, which is also from the Shalah Kodesh, is that it's connected to Shem Aleph Lamed Daled, which is another Shem. That Shem is one of the 72 names of Hashem. So the 72 names of Hashem, right? We spoke about this many times. So one of the names is Shem Aleph Lamed Aleph. So Aleph Gimel Lamed Aleph has the same oisius, of Aleph Lamed Aleph. Shu Shem b'Shem Shal Ayin Beis Shu b'Chesed.
Because you have the one Aleph.
Yeah, Gibor comes down Dalet. Exactly. Gibor comes Aleph Dalet. V'chein Agla oisis Agoel. That Agla is also connected to the word Geula. It brings about revealing, as it says in the Pardas. But Shem Agla is connected to this revealing. Okay, so what's Pshat over here? Pshat is like this. Pshat is like this. You have.
It's a Shem Shel Chesed.
Oh, so it's not. That's interesting. It's not a Shem Shel Chesed. It's actually a Gevura Mesuka. Exactly. It's a Shem Shel Gevura. It's sweetness of Gevura. We'll talk about this in a second. So Atta Gibor Leilam Hashem. Rivka is Gevura Mutakas. So Rivka is Yitzchak is Gevura Kasha. Yitzchak is a harsh Gevura. And Rivka is Gevura Mutakas.
What's the difference between physical Chesed, actual Chesed, and a Gevura?
Mutakas. Okay. This is a good shot. No, but we have to understand what is Takad Oimek. What is the difference? And what is the Shem Agla? So the MS, this name is a name that's connected to Gvura. let's see. What are we talking about? The second bracha. The second bracha is Gvura. Atta Gibor. It's all about Gvura, and it's about Tchias HaMesim. It's about Kshamim, about rain, which is called Gvuras. Gvuras Kshamim. That it's Kigel to Tchias HaMesim. It's but it has to do with Gvura. Gvuras Kshamim. Kshamim is connected to Gvura. So the whole thing is about Gvura. So Atta Gibor El Hashem is the koyach of the power of Gvura. That it's a Gvura Mumtekas. What's Pshat's a Gvura Mumtekas? That it's a Gvura that draws out the possibility. It's a tension that draws out a higher level of creativity. Which means sometimes it's a Gvura, sometimes it's a type of Gvura that is trapped. It's concealed. It holds everything in. It's not allowing anything to come out, or it's very strong. It breaks things. This is a type of Gvura where it's holding on. It's withholding in order to create a certain type of resistance to the other, and in the resistance it creates a tension. I'll give you a very simple example. This Shem Aleph Gimel Lamed Aleph is connected to birth. We'll see soon in the Baal Shem. That it's not the Shem Aleph Lamed Daled and Shem Aleph Gimel Lamed Aleph. The Baal Shem, the Degel brings down B'Shem Zayda from Shem Baal Shem, that this is a name that a person should be mechaven, a woman should be mechaven when she's giving birth. Yeah. That what happens in birth? In birth is a contraction, which is Gvura, that allows for the release of Chesed, of Chesadim. So it's a Gvura, it's a shame of Gvura, but it's that, yeah. What allows for the release? There's a similar idea. There's a word from Pinchas Karitzer that it says that Vayev Yaakov is Rachel. The Yaakov had love to Rachel, which is like an expansive emotion. But then Kiakara, but she was Rachel Akara. But Rachel wasn't Akara. She was able to give birth. But then the pasuk says later that Vayicher Af Yaakov Rachel. Yaakov became a little bit upset at Rachel, and then it says Vateled Rachel. So the Pinchas Karitzer writes, he says, Loi chas v'sholom yektata b'neihem, not that a person, God forbid, should fight with his wife or his spouse, or the other way around, but he says, abyssal based on, I don't want to translate in English, but it means sometimes a little bit of tension allows for the birth. So he says, when there's these spashes of chesed, of pure ava, there's no resistance. There's no spark that can release. So therefore, it's a spashes revealing of chesed, and therefore there's no creativity. There's no creation. There's no possibility of the birth. But the moment there's a yichar Yaakov, there's a little bit, some type of tension, some type of friction. The friction allowed a release. There was like a two things that were sparked together. It's like you have with Yitzchak, also with Rivka. Ki akarahi, the Gemara says they're both akaras. But when he mispala, when he davened lo noichach ishtoi, then there was able to be the birth. So the Shem Agla is a name that's created to creativity, to creation, to a revealing that comes specifically when there's a type of a resistance, a type of gvura. That's why it's Atta Gibor El Hashem isn't Atta Gibor, isn't koyach gvura. But the Gibor is to create the Shem El. So it's not like in the Toya Sari, or at least where you see in the Shalah, it's that they're two separate names, and one name is connected. This Shem Agla is also connected to Shem Eled. What the Baal Shem revealed is that the Shem Agla is only revealed through the Shem Eled. It's the birth process of the tension, of the restriction, of the friction that allows for the birth. Let's see quickly from the Baal Shem. So this is Kavanas HaMikveh in Toya Baal Shem. This is the Kavana. The Kavana is like this. Aleph. So you do a yichud between Aleph, Agla, Aleph Gibon Lamed. Aleph, yeah, you have that. The second, so you have Aleph, then you have the letter Aleph. So Aleph is as Shem Eka, is Aleph of the Shem Eka, then Aleph is from Shem Agla, then Hey is from Shem Eka, and then Gimel Shem Agla. Yud is from Shem Eka, and the Lamed is from Shem Agla, Hey is from Shem Eka, and Aleph is Shem Agla. What does that ultimately multiple lead to? Shem Eled. So in the Toyos of Hashem, that's already here. You see the Nekuda. It's not really revealed so much, but he's saying is that the Nekuda is that the moment is the fullness of Shem Agla. It's already the Shem becomes the name of Shem Eled. Shem Eka the Hein who Shem Shal Mikvah. Okay, that's a Mikvah Shem Abina. V'Shem Agla who Asharas Hadinim Kol Gvuras Ba Mimenu. Ubino menem is armedino. Kshaboyim is adil el machshav and netak b'sharshe. So it's netak b'sharshe because Shem Eka. Umimele kshaboyim al Shem Agla le Shem Eka dahin nimtak adim b'sharshe. Umisham Agla nasa Shem Eled. The Agla the Shem correct. Is mal and which then becomes the Shem Eled. Nasman ha'ilada me'agvur nasa chesed. So the gvura, that's the mutakas ha'gvura. It's not Gevura that's a restriction that holds it back, but it's the Gevura that gives birth to the Chsadim. L'chein Yechaven is Hashem Aleph Lamed Daled. Therefore, you should mechaven really Hashem Aleph Lamed Daled. The outcome here. See, this is the twist of the Torah Shem. He's saying what the Shalach Kadosh and others write the Shem Agla is same thing to Shem Eled. He says no, that's really that's the Gilui of Shem Agla. The Gilui of Lamed Aleph isn't Aleph Lamed Daled. It turns into Shem Eled. So what's Aleph Lamed Daled? So Aleph Lamed Daled is Aluf Shaloilam, is Aleph. Nimshach Hadei Lamed. Lamed is 3. Shu Gimel Av is Kolecha Kol Maser. So you have Chesed Gvura and Tiferes. Chesed Gvura and Tiferes is the right column, left column, middle column. Then V'Nimshach LeDaled, and it comes down, it's drawn down to the level of Daled, which is Daled, Pishul Madregas Achtoinis, which is the lower levels. In the next page, he writes this out a little bit more clearly. In the Kuti Karim, the next page in the last 2 lines. Yechavim b'ois Aleph Mishem Aleph Lamed Daled Roimel leKeser Elyon Shu Aleph ois is Pella, which is Keser. Aleph is Keser. V'ois Lamed is the next page. You got it. Roimel is leGimel Kavim. Kav Yamin, the right column, which is Chochma Chesed Netzach. Kav Small, the left column, which is Bina Gvura Hoid. Kavam Tsoy, which is Das, Teferes Yisoid. So you have all the spheres. You have Aleph, which is Keser. Lamed, which is right column, left column, middle column. So it's either Chochma Chesed Netzach Bina Gvura Hoid or Das, Teferes Yisoid. V'ois Daled, Remez Lambalchus, Soid Shem Akka, Atnai, and you draw down into the lower worlds. So what are you doing with the Shem Aleph Lamed Daled?
Malchus is not lower, Malchus is the high.
No, it's the lowest. Malchus is Makabel. So you're drawing that all into Malchus. Malchus is less megamei klum. That's why it's Daled. It's Dallas. Daled. It's Dallas. It has less megamei klum. It doesn't have anything on its own. It's empty. It's empty to receive. So it's the Daled. So when it's received Daled, the Shem Aleph Lamed Daled is the Hamshachet, the drawing down of all these koiches that it goes down from the top, from the highest level of Keser till its birth, till it comes down into Malchus. So Atta Gibor Le'elam Hashem is the Shem Aleph Gimel Lamed Aleph. The kavana of that, the kavana which you have to mechaven is that I'm mechaven that this name is the gvuras that I have in my life that only allow to draw out something even more creative, more big, and more real. And dafka, because of those frictions and issues that I'm having in my life, that brings out something even greater within me. There's a higher level in birth, and that's the Shem Aleph Lamed Daled. And then there's Amtakas HaGvuras. That's Amtakas HaGvuras. So this is a nice chiddush from the entire Shabbat Shem, which it's not found. And then over here is a shtickle Sefer Likutim, is from Moshe David Valley, and he writes over there about the different shemas, about the Aleph Bein shemas. So in the Shem Aleph Lamed Daled, he mamish writes this clear in terms of what his birthing is shenoisen koyach ala malchus lo hoitzi ashpaasei ala tachtoinim. Pashat. Okay, so that's the Shem Aleph Lamed Daled, which is where what? Where does it write it? Where?
I've seen many times where they write it like circles and lines.
Oh no, that's something else. That has to do with how many Yudin are in the Shem Agla.
That's why they make circles.
They make little dots. There's Shem Avayev, Chav Beis Oisias, of Chav Beis Yudin. There's different ways how to do it. But that's the kavan in general. This is Shem Agla. This is it says this is one of the names he's talking about. This is what all the tzaddikim say. You should mechaven this name, even if you're not mechaven. You're not a big mechaven in any kavanas, but this is an important kavanah.
I didn't get the relationship of the Aleph Pei to the Aleph.
No, Aleph is Aleph Lamed Pei. Aleph is Aleph Lamed Pei. It's Pella.
But
The le-
how is Hey connected to Gimel?
No. That's Shem Eke.
Oh,
The first kavanah of the Baal Shem is Shem is the yichud between Shem Eke and Shem Agla.
They didn't use the word Yichud there. Just
Yeah, but he's just writing it out. Yeah, that's the Shem yichud. Okay. So this is the kavanah in general. Now let's go more in general, which is Atta Gibor and Hashem Mechayim Mesim. So you look at the Mechayim Mesim, you have 3 times Mechayim Mesim. You have Atta Gibor and Hashem Mechayim Mesim. This is
Chalkotayim Chesed Mechayim Yisrael.
Chalkotayim Chesed Mechayim Mesim.
Menig maak is in Gaia, we nemen out de nachtjes maar.
Mechayim Mesim. So that's the 3 Mechayim Mesim. So what's
At the end, we gaan-
But so that's a general. That's a general. So you have three gedarim of Mechayim Mesim. So what is the idea of Mechayim Mesim? And why is it so important? Obviously, the Mechayim Mesim, the resurrection. This is like the Yisoid. This is the Yisoid of the thing. This is the holy Yisoid of this tefillah. It has to be Mechayim Mesim, and it's repeated many times. And if you look at the verse itself, it talks a lot of things that don't seem about Mechayim Mesim. It's Soymech Neuflim, Roife Cholim, Matar Surim, Am Kaim Rosh Shein Alfar. Is that Mechayim Mesim? Hashem helps those that are falling and healing and takes people out of sick.
No, Hashem does all, and above all,
Ah,
he even does
ah,
Mechayim Mesim.
Or
And maybe
or-
you say that it's even related that the Shaimas,
yeah,
the Aleph Gimel Lamed Aleph, which is
the Shem.
the Aleph Lamed
Yeah.
Aleph, which is Chesed, that's the Chesed, that's what Hashem's working.
Correct. I know for sure. Yeah, wow, that's the
Gevura
Eileh.
taking place that Hashem now has an opportunity for Chesed.
The Gevuras, exactly. The Gevuras that we see in this world. But Oimik, this is and this Soymech Neuf Revi Chayil Mata Sum Kaim and also the Ari writes the Kavana is for the Netzoitzes that fall Soymech Neufim for the Netzoitzes that fall in Adam, Revi Chayil for the sparks that fall into in a Chai, a Bal Chai, the Neshamas that fall into Bal Chai. Mata Asurim is the Netzoitzes that fall or Neshamas in Gegulim that fall in Sameach. Mekayim Eloshein Offer is into Offer that it comes into inanimate. So there's the sparks that are stuck. That it can be a spark that's stuck from another neshama in your own body. That's one level. It could be stuck in an animal's another level. It could be stuck in the vegetation. It could be stuck in a blade of grass. These are level of stuckness because it's not being mispashet. The nefesh of that thing is trapped. Cannot reveal itself. So every single nekud over here is be'emes of Mechayim Mesim. The Mechayim Mesim. What is Mechayim Mesim? Mechayim Mesim means that something seems to be stuck or dead or unconscious, something is to be trapped. There's like a dead end, but there's a neufel, and the person HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a soymech neuflim means that he's machai the neufel. The roifa cholim is a person sick. Is gadol ripa cholim is one of the big why because it's like a tchias hamesim. A person's sick. And a chayli is or ani a chayli can be like a chashiv. Can you be on dead's death row something else. But you can be mamish on the deathbed. And matar sur means it could be an osir. And then there's Mechayim Mesim, which is the idea of Mechayim Mesim is like a resurrection from the situation where it seems to be an end. It seems to be blocked. There seems to be no possibility. There's a revival of that. So these 3 things. Already the Avudram writes, and the Shalach Kodesh writes this, that they represent 3 types of Mechayim Mesim. There's 3 types of Mechayim Mesim. There's a Mechayim Mesim that happens in nature. There's a resurrection that happens in nature, in the world of nature. There's a Mechayim Mesim that happens every single day. The Soymech Neuf Revi Chayil Matar Asur Mekayim Eloshein Shein Alfar is literally a process of a person waking up. Sometimes a person wakes up and they just need a little bit of help to get out of bed. Sometimes they feel like they're flat, they feel sick, they can't get out of bed. Sometimes a person feels like they're tied to their bed. And sometimes the Sheni offer, your mom is like dead, you can't get out of bed. These are processes of pushing yourself up. So one is a person waking up in the morning because Shina is Echem B'Shishim Emisla. So it's one of 16 of death. So there's a process of death, and then there's a reawakening, there's a Tchias HaMesim, and then there's a Tchias HaMesim of Kshamim, which is really the first one, which is another type of Tchias HaMesim, and then there's Tchias HaMesim, which is La'as Loving. So there are three types of Tchias HaMesim. There's a Tchias HaMesim in nature. This is the first thing we talk about. That HaKadosh Baruch is Mashav Ruach HaMoed HaGeshem. Mashav Ruach HaMoed HaGeshem is Mechayim Es Matav Lo Yishia. Mashav Ruach HaMoed HaGeshem is a wise Geshem Mechayim Es. Because first of all, the Gemara says the Gadol Yom HaKshavim Ki Tchias HaMesim. The Geshem is like Geshem Mechayim. But why is Geshem like Tchias HaMesim? Because what happens before it rains? Before it rains, let's say in the seasonal, let's say take a bigger picture. If you look at the winter season, everything looks dead. The trees are dead. There's no foliage. There's no grass. There's no flowers. Everything seems to be dead. That's the winter. And comes along the summer, comes along the spring, and it comes the rainy season. And all of a sudden, everything awakens. That's a Machaya Mesim in nature. When you look at a tree, and you can see life resurrecting itself, you're seeing Tchias HaMesim in the Bria. A personal anecdote, very quickly. I think I've told you, but this is not so much the right people, but I'll tell you anyways. An interesting story. When my mother, Allah Shalom, passed away, it was just her yahrzeit yesterday, 2 days ago. Yeah. So someone bought me a plant. One of my a secular Jew decided to buy me a banana tree. You know what a banana tree plant is? It has very big leaves. And I didn't know you have to take care of it. So it died. And they're very big leaves. It makes a very big mess. And then I decided I'm going to revive it. I don't know, but I'm gonna water the plant every day. And all of a sudden it started blossoming, and it became alive. And it was mamish during like Shloshim in that time period. I there was a certain hargosha that I'm watching Tchias HaMesim b'muchash. There's a certain thing that the Eibusha created in the Bria, that the Eibusha created a tchia that if a person ever thinks that there's an end, and it's stuck, go into nature. Just go outside. Just go outside and see the tchiyah that's happening in the world. It says about after the Maggid passed away, the Talmidei Maggid got together to decide who's going to be the next Rebbe. Eventually, they chose Rebbe Avraham Malach, the Maggid's son, and the Alter Rebbe was not benimtza. They couldn't find the Alter Rebbe, and the Talmidei Maggid were looking where the Alter Rebbe was, and they wanted him to be part of the meeting. It wasn't fun. So they looked, they found, and they went outside and they found him. He was sitting by a stream of water. And he was sitting by the stream of water, and I was like, B'dveikus. And they asked him, what are you doing? We were having he says, don't you know this is the favorite spot that our Rebbe used to go, the Maggid used to come by the stream and he sit by the water. And he wants to hear the frogs singing Shir HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So he wants to sit there. I was thinking that on a very big level, what the Alter Rebbe was doing is, he's going to nature. He just lost his Rebbe, and it feels like a terrible, it's the end of life. And he's going into nature, he's sitting with life, and everything's starting to... There's a tchiyah in the Bria, and the tchiyah in the Bria gave him tchiyah, gave him new chayes. The Eibusha created the world in a way that kshamim is a revealed way of Hashem's revealing the tchiyah within the Bria is through kshamim. So when you see kshamim, you see it rains, it's chachas haBria. So there's chachas of the tchiyah. There's the koyach hagvura, because it's gvura's sham. It comes down in pratim, and it comes down harsh, and it could be like it's uncomfortable, and it's raining. It seems like something like that's harsh, but it's a shame Aleph Gimel Lamed that's actually revealed as the birth. Actually, the birth of life comes from this process. That's the first type of tchiyah that happens. The second type of tchiyah is, like Davudram writes, is a person thinking about his own life. Either just thinking about you were sleeping and your mom is really, really tired last night, and your mom fell asleep like a log, and you couldn't wake up, and you had a really hard sleep, and you woke up in the morning and say, "Scotch, the renewal." That the Eibusha created this tchiyah in the Adam, that a person should feel the tchiyas HaMesim within himself to give you a me'ain of what tchiyas HaMesim is. That to understand that there's a tchiyah in the Bria, there's a tchiyah also within your own self. If you're a soymach noifim or if matasum, whatever the situation is, not if you went to sleep. Let's say you were sick and you feel better, and you were stuck and you feel better, you were depressed, you feel better. This is the tchiyah. This is all giving us a premonition of what it is, the tchiyas of the future, and that's the second tchiyah. And then it talks about melech meims machayim atzmiach Yeshua. So we look at the Bria and we see that Take sometimes it seems like dark, and it seems like it's gvuras, and it's a meimis umachaya. There's sometimes Misa and sometimes Machaya. But we know that ultimately everything in the Bria reaches Chayas. Everything will eventually be in the Schadish. So what's Tchias HaMesim? What is really the oimik of the idea of Tchias HaMesim? And this is why the Gemara says, the Gibor ben Sisa says that man lo have a chaya, man have a chaya lo have kol shekain, that he's trying to say that that Tchias HaMesim is logical. I mean, obviously spiritually logical. It's logical because if we understand how the Eibusha created the world, that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a meschadish. The Eibusha is giving life to this world. So if you don't see life, that's because it's period. That's because there's separation. There's something concealed. We're not seeing it. But ultimately, when there's going to be a revealing of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then there has to be only light. There has to be only light. There will be light. There'll only be chayes. Then if there's a lack of chayes, it's because there's a hester. This is what we say. Atta Gibor lo'olam. The gevura is the koyach gevura that's breaking open the concealments. That's from the place of the constriction. But it's Atta Gibor is lo'olam. Lo'olam, you can say lo'olam means you're so strong that you're lo'olam, you're always strong, or you're forever you're strong. Or you can say there's a place called olam, lo'olam. There's a place called eternity. In that place of eternity, it's Atta Gibor. The world is meschadish, and it's renewed, and it's expansive, and there's light, and there's oil, and dead are coming to alive, and it's some sayavashas, the dead bones are coming alive. Always, every moment. That's really the emes of the bria. We're living in the place of the Hester, so we see down, and we see depression, we see sickness, we see death, we see all these things that bring us to the place of constriction. But Atta Gibor L'Olam Hashem. That L'Olam is Atta Gibor, the Eibusha is a Machaya Mesim, the Eibusha is a Machaya and brings life to this world. That's the oimik of why Machaya Mesim is such an important idea. And that's the word. If you look here in the it's really what if you look really, this is what Avudram writes, that Shalosh Pam Tchias HaMesim Harishoina Kish Adam Yashan Al Mitase, a person sleeping and wakes up. Hashniya Be'inyan Yuridas HaKshamim, like it says Gal Yom HaKshamim Tchias HaMesim, which is Kshamim, which is rain. And at Tchias HaMesim La'asid Lavi Baruch Hashem B'chai HaMesim She'ikir Schias Tchias HaMesim, which will be La'asid Lavi. The Shalach Kodesh writes Be'erech this idea as well, in a similar language. Aleph Tchias Ha'olam HaGashmi, the Hainu Shefa Kshamim U'Bracha La'olam, the same Zeh Agla. He writes mamish clearly. You see the last page? That the first one is Tchias HaMesim, which is through the name of Kshamim, with rain, which brings on Bracha La'olam, which is the same Aleph Gimel Lamed Lamed Aleph. That's why you say, by the way, when you say Mashiv Ruach U'Moirid Ha Goshem or Geshem, how do you say? Geshem, huh? So why do you say Geshem? Bemes, whenever you finish in Diktuk, whenever you finish a phrase, the segel becomes a kometz. So, for example, when you say Shalo Yasani Ovid, you say Shalo Yasani Eved or Shalo Yasani Ovid? Ovid. Really, Eved is Eved with a segel, but when you finish a bracha, you say Ovid, the segel becomes a kometz. So that's why some people say Mashiv Ruach U'Moed HaGoshem. There are people that pronounce this. But why is the bigger minig and the way we say it, most Chassidim say Geshem. Why do we say Geshem? Because we say the Mashiv Ruach U'Moed HaGoshem is not the end. Mashiv Ruach U'Moed HaGoshem b'chal kachayim b'chesed. It's not Mashiv Ruach HaGoshem. B'chal kachayim b'chesed b'chayim mesim. This is the Mashiv Ruach U'Moed HaGoshem is the revealing of Geshem is where b'chal kachayim b'chesed b'chayim mesim. When the Eibusha brings Geshem, it brings down bracha, it brings down revealing. I told you the word from Baal Shem. It says Mashiv Ruach U'Moed HaGoshem is on Shmini Atzeres used to say every year, Mashiv Ruach, the Eibusha should take the Ruchnis, and now Moed HaGeshem now bring all the Gashmis down. So Rosh Hashanah Kippur and the Avodah Yom Shloim is Endikshen. So Mashiv Ruach now bring down the Geshem. So first it is Tchias HaMesim on the Gashem Hainu Shefek Gashmi and Bracha L'Olam Zeh Shem Alo Gimel Lamed Aleph. And then it says Mashiv Ruach Geshem Chayim. Okay. And then it says Hu Shefa Mazon Panas Shekos Hashem L'Chol Echad Echad. That's also a type of Tchias HaMesim. And then the third one is Tchias HaMesim Kipshute Kipina Gom Nukshayim. And he says Gama Shnaim Arishoyim Nik Tchias HaMesim. And he says the first ones are also Tchias HaMesim. And he goes to all Arichas. He says the Ars Nikra Eretz Meis. The earth sometimes seems like it's dead. Lama Novus Hadecha Keneged Al Nasenu. The pasuk says in Bereshis by Yosef Atzadik. It says why should the earth die? There's a deading of the earth when it's not when it's a time of time of famine. Chen ba'ani, a person that's poor doesn't have his bracha. Nechshav kemes, he's like dead. So when a person has mashav ruach, the Eibush is giving on the geshem, the gashmias, that's a tchias hamesim. That's a tchias hamesim. So Mela, that's the word. Atta Gibor leil Mashem Agla. Machayim mesim Atta Rav Lishia. Mashav ruach geshem mechal kachayim bechesed. The Eibush mechal kachayim bechesed brings down the kshamim. Machayim berachim rabim is ultimate compassion is that'll bring down takich chsadim gluyim, that it should be revealed chsadim in this world and shvit chamesim. How do we see the tchias mesim soymach noif and reifachel mata surim? Whether it's in the tzaitis or it's every single person throughout the day has different states where they fall, they're sick. This. Also shein first tchias mesim kipshute. Michal meich bagavus midaim alach melech meimis umachayim atzmiyach yeshua. What is the Eibush as melech? He's a meimis umachaya. The Taka causes maimus, the Eibush causes things that conceal concealment, but ultimately is machaya. Umatzmiyach Yeshua, there'll be a revealing of the Tchias HaMesim. Now it's L'chayis Mesim, Baruch Atah Hashem Machaya Mesim. The Eibush is Machaya Mesim. Lots of love. We should zoich to see the Tchias HaMesim. Kipshutei u'kumashmoy.